Today I want to demonstrate you how we work with the epics. So the epics is about selective installation. Not sure if it's a good name, but the idea behind this epic is to ensure that we can install specific agent to your code base. Because today, out of the box, you're installing all the framework with all agents, with all assets, with all dependencies right inside your code base. And sometimes you don't need all of them. For example, you want to run only developer at some specific repository. So this is the idea behind this epic. So let's check the epic. The problem I just shared with you. So the goal is just we want to reduce the size of framework delivered to each code base. What we plan to have, you know that our framework has different commands, and we have bundling, we have tokens, we have validations, and the idea of installation is just to extend existing install command and together with IDE give you the capability to install specific agents or agents plus tasks. So what is not included is here dependencies. All of them are met because those epics are already finished. Some dependencies on the what we need, and we have a technical approach how we're going to achieve this. And there are also a number of acceptance criteria. So I don't like those acceptance criteria, honestly, because we agreed not so long ago to remove those very specific detailed criteria from epics. So let's work on them. Let's work on this epic. Let's polish it a little bit and improve, because we have a new template for the epic. What else we want to review is the stories, which are the part of this epic. Maybe we can consolidate them into a single implementation. So first of all, let's open our IDE. I will start with Cursor first and gradually move to Claude Code today. So let's check our epic. This epic is reflected in this GitHub issue. And again, the epic is defined here. So selective installation. So it's here. And now let's work on this epic. So we need to select our agent, and this is going to be PO because we are going to work here with our stories and epics, and here are those capabilities. And there is also one small hack I want to share today, is this customization. The idea of this customization is that each time you interact with model in Cursor, you ensure that you can still continue talk to the model using the same session. You know that each request, some interaction with the specific model costs you some specific number of requests. And the idea of this customization is to make sure that you can run as much as possible interaction with the specific model, Claude Sonnet in our case. And as far as I remember, Cursor has 25 requests to the model, which it counts as these 2 requests. So I will show you how it works. So let's start with the simple help command. This command will load all the capabilities of this agent and also will identify those interactive scripts. Now it's checking the script is here because this is a part of our customization. And now what we want to have, we want to update an epic. This is how a script works. You see that I'm not like starting to typing more, but instead still keep in console. And this ensures that I will use the same interaction with the model. So I will still be in scope of those 2 requests that costs me for this Sonnet model. Okay, let's check 4. Update epic. And we need to update epic number selective installation number 8. Which epic do you want to update? What specific updates do you want to make? And now again you see that it returned back input to this terminal. With this approach we have like approximately 25 interactions with the model. So let's say epic 8. What we want to do, I'm going to just write down some instructions. So what I've just asked to review our epic 8 because we've changed a little bit template, so acceptance criteria now looks a little bit in another way. And I also want to understand whether we need to have all those 3 separate stories under this epic, or we can merge them into a single one. Again, the idea behind is that there are no magic from AI side, so don't expect that it will say like, okay, you should go this way. It is always should be a feedback from your side, okay? So you can just ask model to validate some gaps, something that doesn't work or is not aligned across the document. So it's not like asking you how to go. It's just more about gathering analytics about your document and provide something that is not aligned, something that is not defined or is missing. So what we have here, as I mentioned, so based on epic template, we have compliance issue found, goal format. So goal is too metric heavy and specific for early planning phase. Contains click commands and test commands, so we want to avoid this. This is what I mentioned before, so we still want to be on a business level for this epic. Proposed updates: enable selective agent installation, okay, deliver installation capability. You can agree with me that the previous one was just some numbers. Those numbers are not always ready when you start something to implement. It's definitely good to have those specific numbers, but in the most cases, from my experience, you might miss them at the very stage of the project, and this is where we are for sure. So we propose it to replace, and let's agree on this. As you can see, I always interact with the model using this terminal, and while I'm interacting with the model, all this conversation is still costs me 2 requests to Claude Sonnet. So this is very important, and this life hack actually allows you to have more interaction with the model on the same number of requests. So I highly recommend this approach. We are done, so let's review what are the changes to this document. Now when Epic is ready, we can proceed with the next step. Now, when I am okay with this description, I can proceed with the story. So we reduce the number of stories from 4 to 2, and it looks okay from my side. So it's time to create stories. According to framework, agent reads create story task. So it defines the flow, templates, dependencies that models needs to populate story. So it defines the path where the story should be created and its format. As you can see, I'm still interacting with the same chat. So this long history interaction still costs me only 2 requests because I'm using Claude Sonnet 4. And this is the life hack of this small script. While agent is creating story 2, let's review this new story. Okay, acceptance criteria looks good for me. It's very detailed, but okay. Let's move to the next section. Okay, now let's review the tasks and subtasks section. This is a very important section because the developer agent, who is going to be next for implementation, is going to use exactly this section for implementation. So you have to review it very carefully. Moreover, at the next step, we will do this review together with the developer role itself. So before starting implementation, we must ensure that the implementation plan based on the tasks and subtasks looks good. Okay, I see that we have adds agents and agents flag, so we can elaborate on this. Okay, let's return back and to check what is the answer for our agent and agents again. So now he's going to update this. While it's updating, let's go to this file. I think looks good for me. Let's check the tasks and subtasks. Okay, now we turn back to our terminal again. And now check story 0802 for task versus tasks. Let's review the result of the work. So we're done with this story, and now we can actually proceed to the next stage, and this stage is going to be review. Let's ask one more time. So we have some recommendations. Let's review these. So now we are adding a critical edge cases to this story. Okay, so we have edge cases like given agent is already installed when the same agent installation step began, the user receives clear feedback and the system remains consistent. Okay, let me review those items and I will return back to you with a verdict. Okay, let's review what we have. So we have an edge cases added, so I'm not sure that they're actually true for our cases. I want to keep things simple. So I've already cleaned story 8.1. I'm okay here. I've kept some edge cases. For the story 2, I also agree with what we have here. So I will accept these acceptance criteria and all the dependencies for these criteria. Okay. And we have the last to do, so integration testing. Yes, let's add integration testing. Okay, I'm going to save everything. I'm okay as the product owner. I'm okay at what we should have as the result of those two stories and the result of Epic. I'm adding it to Git staged. Now you see that I'm still running in this script. I propose to go and check how many requests I have for this long session. Yeah, as I mentioned. So it cost me only 2 requests for this very long session. So we are done with this agent, honestly, and we can switch to another role. Now I need feedback from developer. And this is the next part of our demo. Let's go. So now when the epic is ready, the stories are ready, they're still in planning state, so they're still in draft, and now it's time to review those stories from the implementation. Imagine you have some feedback from project owner or you have some feedback from architect. Now it's time to show the story to your team, to your developers and QAs, probably to understand the acceptance criteria, whether it's everything clear and how it's going to be implemented. Let's go. So what we agreed, we have epic 8, we have stories belong to this epic, and now it's time for our developer to review the story. So what we want to do is just to say like, hey dev, and we need to plan implementation. Let's run it story by story. Let's check what is happening under the hood. So the agent reads the dependencies, like it reads again the plan story implementation task. So these tasks has all the dependencies, all the criteria, the checklists, and other details that helps agent to properly shape the implementation plan. It also refers to story template to ensure that we are aligned. It also checks SDLC framework. This is the framework I've already mentioned in my previous videos. You can check them. The idea of this framework is how the artifacts produced by this framework emerged and how they moved from project brief, idea, PRD, epic, stories, code, etc., etc. What else? Now it reads the story actually we plan to work on and creates a to-do list. And now it runs all the stuff. So here is the result. The story was successfully reviewed. You see that a lot of, I think all the plan was changed. Yes, it was changed with very low details, like even functional names. User developer who are aware of the code base can provide feedback, like whether it's true or not. Always do this. Do not rely on the output of agents. But what I want to do is to ensure that on each step of implementation we have tests. So we definitely have verify comment, but let me also instruct agent in this way. Ensure we have make CI comment for each iteration or change, and also we cover all new code with unit tests. Let's review the results. We are done with this story, I believe. I'm planned to run git add to staged. Let's check what is actually here. Okay, let's add dogs. And now let's ask agent running the same command for story 02 agent finished its work. Let's review it. I also okay with this. So I'm going to proceed. So now when the stories are ready, I can say like both stories now are ready for implementation. Okay, so set proper status. I'm actually going to push this, so let me go this way. I will open this epic and will say, okay, now create conventional commit for the changes we've made. This is related to GitHub issue 65. Do not mention Claude Code. Okay, let me check the commit message. And let's also create a pull request for this change. Let me review it. So this is the additional approach how we can review whether we're okay with the model, with the result of the work we've just did together. Okay, let's wait for CI and then merge. Okay, we can finish work with this agent, start a new session as soon as we will merge the code in upstream. Our stories are ready and epic as well, and we can start with the implementation. I will run my implementation using Claude Code. So let's check it. Okay. So on the left side we have my stories. I will start with the story number 801. So I will need developer. What I need is the implementation command and saying like implement. Let's check what is happening under the hood. So agent reads first the story, which needs to be implemented with the detail, with acceptance criteria, with detailed tasks, and also it starts checking the implementation feature task. This task is designed for story implementation. Then it creates a to-do list and starting the implementation. Again, it put the status in progress and proceeds, and I confirm. Let's start. The epic is done, and now let's review what we have as the result. First of all, we already closed this epic in the GitHub since all the related stories were implemented. As you can see, we finally have only one story. After a full review and interaction with the PO and PM agents, I decided just to keep the thing simple. So we have only one story, which add capabilities to install specific agent to your favorite code base. Now, how it looks like, what are the next steps? The next steps are populate this approach across all the repositories and code bases we have in our platform in KubeRocketAI and KubeRocketAI. And for this, we have a separate epic created, and in each dependency, we already created respective issues. For example, let's review how we're going to achieve this in our key clock operator. So as I mentioned, we already have an issue, and the idea of this issue is that we want to bring KubeRocketAI agent for our key clock operator to speed up the development, review process, addressing different challenges, helping users to answer their questions, and how it's going to be look like. First of all, let me show you how we're gonna leverage Epic 8 results. So I have a repository of our key clock. I'm going to clone it. And now let me open it in my IDE. It can be any. In my demo session, I will show you just GitHub Copilot. The next step is to ensure that we have everything that we need. Let me run KubeRocketAI, check updates, ensure that we have the latest version. Okay, and now we can use install command with -- help flag to understand what we actually need for this repository. And as I mentioned, after having those Epic 8 related advanced installation, I can install specific agent, for example, developer, and let me do this. And also I can install add support for IDE I just want to use. Since across my team we use a huge number of different IDEs, I can select, for example, for Cursor, VS Code, and for example, Claude Code. Okay, let me check Cursor, Cloud, VS Code, or we can use all actually. So now let me check what are the changes. From the perspective of changes, we can see that we're adding developer for Claude Code, for Cursor, for GitHub, for Windsurf. So, and we also have the framework core with dev agent, with data that I used for this agent. So this agent uses 3 tasks, review, plan story, and implement. And we have only those tasks to install together with the core. And those tasks are also have dependencies, and these dependencies are here, like in a templates folder, coding standards, and best practices. And the same is true for having our SDLC framework overview, so agent understand what are the next steps. And now it's time for us to tune those coding standards and best practices to reflect code base, our key clock operator. So we plan to add here some Golang standards we are following. We also plan to add here operator SDK as our main framework we use for Kubernetes operators development, and many other stuff that should only live together with the code base. So that was the idea of our Epic advanced installation. So I can now install for all of the repositories, I can install only those agents I actually need to perform and support the code base. Nothing more, keeping system prompt. That's it. Thank you very much for your attention and see you next time.